When you hear banks earn 100% returns, that does not mean banks are doubling their money every year. Banks don't measure returns the way investors do. They measure what money costs them versus what the same money earns. And when banks earn twice what their money costs, they call that 100% spread or 100% arbitrage. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how that works and how you can structure your money to operate the same way. Before we get into it, my name is Elridge. I'm an active investor and lender. My partner and I have a finance community with members actively achieving their financial goals with the same strategies we implement every day. You could join our finance community with the link in the description. It's free to join. Here's why some people misunderstand the entire concept. Most people were taught to think about money like investors. Investors are trained to ask questions like, what's the rate of return? What's the risk? What the market did this year? Banks don't start with those questions. Banks start with, what does this money cost us? Where can we deploy it safely? How predictable is the spread? How long can we repeat this process? That difference in thinking is not small. It's the difference between reacting to the market and controlling capital. And until you understand that difference, phrases like 100% returns will always sound confusing or misleading. Now, let's break down how banks actually make money. When you deposit money into the bank did not earn that money. They borrowed it from you. If the bank pays you 1% on your deposit, that 1% is the bank cost of capital. Now, the bank takes that same money and does one or several things. Lend it out at 6, 7, or 8%, use it to support larger lending portfolios, or parks a portion of it in an ultra-safe institution earning 4 to 6%. So let's look at it through the bank's lens. If money costs the bank 1% and earns the bank 5%, they don't say we made 4%. They say we made 5 times what our money cost us. That is 500% arbitrage on cost. This is how banks measure success. When people hear 100% returns, they think that sounds unrealistic. And if you're thinking like an investor, that reaction makes sense. But banks are not talking about return on principal. They are talking about return relative to cost. If something costs you 5% and earn you 10%, you earn 100% more than your cost. That's it, just a different measuring system. The real question you should be asking, if the banks are winning by borrowing cheaply, keeping capital liquid, earning consistent spreads, reusing the same money over and over, why do most people put their money into places where they lose access, compounding stops, capital becomes trapped, and flexibility disappears? That question leads us directly into the concept of becoming your own bank. Now, what becoming your own bank actually means? This does not mean starting an actual bank, selling insurance, or chasing unrealistic returns. It means structuring your personal finances the same way banks structure theirs. Banks do not lock their capital away. They keep it liquid, protected, and reusable. That's the model. Here's an important historical fact. During the Great Depression, real estate collapsed. Tens of thousands of banks failed, insurance companies didn't. In 2008, over 400 banks failed, insurance companies didn't. Why? Because banks store their tier 1 capital inside insurance companies. When the federal government asked major banks where the safest, most liquid capital was held, the answer was clear: insurance companies. So instead of asking, where should I invest my money? A better question becomes, where do banks store theirs? In our finance community, we use properly structured, max-funded index universal life insurance, not as investments, but as a capital storage vehicle. This is critical. This is not about market speculations. This is about liquidity, control, stability, uninterrupted compounding interest. Think of it as your personal banking system. Let's walk through an example. Let's say a community member has built their policy to $1 million in cash value. Now, this is an important clarification. They did not start with $1 million. I'll address capitalizing your IUL shortly. Now an opportunity appears. It could be real estate, private lending, business expansion. Instead of withdrawing money and stopping the growth, they borrow against the policy. This distinction is everything. When you withdraw money, growth stops on that amount. Compounding is interrupted. When you borrow, the full million stays inside the policy. the policy continues earning, the loan is collateralized and not taxable. This is exactly how banks operate internally. Let's say the policy loan interest rate is 5%. On $1 million, that's $50,000. Now let's say the policy credits 15% that year. That's $150,000. So here what actually happens. $150,000 earned. $50,000 is the cost to borrow. $100,000 net gain. That is earning 100% more than your borrowed cost. Not 100% on a million, but 100% relative to cost. That's banker math. And this is where efficiency comes in. While the $1 million is still compounded inside the policy, the borrowed money is being used elsewhere. This could mean fix and flip real estate, private money lending, business acquisitions, cash flowing assets. So the same dollar is growing internally, producing income externally. That's not aggressive, that's disciplined leverage. One of our community members just recently bought a rental property using this method, and he do private money loans as well. He literally makes 100% on arbitrage, just like the banks. I posted about it recently in our community. He borrowed at 5% and loaned it out at 10%, and that's a 100% spread or 100% arbitrage. Here's why banks loves this model. Banks do not need massive returns. They need predictability, liquidity, reusability, time, and a modest spread, repeated consistently over 5, 10, 20, 30 years. And that creates enormous wealth. That's why banks survive downturns while individuals panic. I can hear you guys now, Elridge, I don't have $1 million. Good, most people don't. And this is where most videos lose credibility because they start at the finish line. In our community, we start with capitalization, not fantasy, not the end result. We share multiple ways to build policies responsibly depending on someone's situation. Using leverage, consolidating current policies into a properly structured policy, strategic lump sums combined with a monthly contribution. Most community members start with $1,500 per month, $3,000 per month. We have one that started with $35,000 per month. The person that started with $35,000 per month is an outlier, but you have to start somewhere and build from there. This is not about saving harder, it's about controlling capital better. Traditional advice says, lock your money away, hope markets cooperate, wait decades. The banking model says, stay liquid, maintain control, earn spreads, reuse capital, one system, multiple uses, long-term clarity. The key takeaway is, this is not about chasing returns. It's about never interrupting compounding. It's about asking, how many times can this dollar work before I give it up? Banks understand this, and most people just was never taught this. And this is why we have our community. When you understand how banks measure success, the confusion disappears. They don't chase returns, they manage the cost of money. And when you structure your finances the same way with liquidity, control, and disciplined leverage, wealth stops feeling unpredictable. That's what it really means to become your own bank.